Certainly, let's use a very basic example to illustrate how the limiting belief can come back or can represent a deeper belief that needs to be looked at in order for the belief that became apparent to stop making sense. Suppose someone begins doing inner work and they discover a limiting belief. For example, I am bad or my nature is bad. And even though that belief feels true to them, they know that something has to change because they keep getting into relationships and patterns that mirror that belief. The kind of inner work that I teach, and this is what I write about in my book, and a lot more, by the way, is called identity work. It's a way of uncovering really deeply buried assumptions about who we are that shape our reality and our patterns. After uncovering this belief, I am bad, a person who believes they need to have a different belief to replace it or override this belief will try to find an opposite positive affirmation that will negate or, like I said, override this programming. So they say, I am good. And they put it on their mirror and they try to affirm this to themselves all the time. They might notice that even though their disposition slightly improves, patterns overall are not shifting. And as they relax or as they stop affirming to themselves all the time, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, I'm bad, floods right back in, especially when they're exhausted or tired or hormonal or going through a midlife crisis. So the old belief did not go anywhere, even though an opposite of this belief was offered. In the rare cases, a person does become open to a different possibility, in which case it doesn't actually matter what words or approaches we use. It's all about our consciousness becoming open to something outside of its own cage, right? And letting in and connecting to something bigger than yourself and engaging in life in a creative way as opposed to reactive way. I suggested in the video, instead of trying to override this belief first, you imagine who you would be without the thought, I am bad. Who would I be without the thought if I could never think I am bad? Or if I was never aware that something in me was rotten or bad? Just allow yourself to sit in silence. It is uncomfortable, right? You notice that there's something inside of you that's trying to latch on to a concrete thing because it is uncomfortable not being attached to a thought. And if you allow yourself to stay in that presence and meet life in that silence, suddenly you might see something deeper about human nature. You might see that we're all connected and that once we start identifying with certain separate things, our behavior could be good and our behavior could be bad, but our nature is neutral and beautiful and full of possibilities, or something like this. What I'm pointing to is that if you don't automatically replace belief, but get into a habit of releasing it without replacing it, without the guarantee of something else giving you solid ground, then you start finding solid ground in a place that it actually exists, which is your true nature, which is oneness, the unchangeable versus the changeable. The next level is to look at whether there is a deeper belief that is actually inspiring or giving context to the belief, the original belief you have identified, and also to the overriding belief that you are offering to replace it. For example, I am good, bad, and I'm good could also be connected to an identity that is attached to defining itself through I am my actions, I am my thoughts, I am the world that I live in, I am the reflection in the mirror, as opposed to seeing who you truly are, undefined, unlimited, having bought into some lies. So whatever you see in the world is the consequence of your unconsciousness, but it's not the consequence of your nature. And in order for you to return to your nature, you have to step outside of defining yourself. Oh, look at that. I thought a bad thought. I am a bad person. I did this bad thing in my past. I am a bad person. No, my consciousness was in a low state. I believed in some lies. I did some bad things. But I am unlimited. I am a part of God. That's where your real transformation is going to come from. And the last bit is connected, but it's at the core of this understanding is that your core, deep beliefs and assumptions about who you are and about how reality works do get reflected in the reality you live in. Not only do you look at life through this prism, so everything is going to have the residue of that belief. That belief is pre-selecting experiences to prove itself real, not because it has evil intentions, because honestly, the consciousness that has identified with the belief really wants to do this. It wants to set itself free, but it believes it needs to set itself free by overcoming the badness through meeting certain conditions. Not only that, you also, first of all, live in an environment with people who probably share that same kind of limitation. So they're going to keep reinforcing your belief system. You have a whole history in your life of choices that might have been made from the limitation of I am a bad person, there is something bad in me. I hope that made sense. The book is available on TikTok Shop. Check it out.